My name is Burhan Uddin, and I am a Bangladeshi citizen currently living in UAE. As I watch the events unfolding in my homeland, I'm filled with a sense of profound emotional disturbance, anxiety, and helplessness. Despite the internet shutdown in Bangladesh aimed at stifling communication, it's imperative to raise global awareness about the dire situation and the ongoing struggling for justice and reform. Bangladesh is currently witnessing an unprecedented wave of student protests, a movement fueled by a deep sense of frustration and a despair cry for reform. The primary catalyst for these protests is the perceived unfairness of the quota system in government jobs, known locally as the quota system. Many students view the reservations for certain groups, particularly the children of freedom fighters, as fundamentally unfair and a barrier to equal opportunity. This discontent has been exacerbated by the authorities' brutal response to the peaceful protests. Reports of police and members of the ruling party's students' wing attacking unarmed protesters have only intensified public outrage. The economic issues further fuel the unrest. The country's economy is struggling with a lack of job opportunities, rising inflation, and rampant corruption making daily life increasingly difficult for many people. Protesters are also decrying the erosion of democratic principles in Bangladesh. They accuse the government of rigging elections, suppressing freedom of speech, and maintaining power through illegitimate means. The protests have quickly escalated beyond mere demonstrations. Students and members of the general public have taken to the streets across the country. The situation has become more volatile, and incidents of government buildings, including police situations and Bangladesh television office being set on fire. The call for an indefinite shutdown of the country underscores the depth of the protesters' resolve and their demand for immediate action. In response, the government's measures have been draconian. The internet shutdown is an attempt to silence dissent and control the flow of information. Media outlets face significant pressure to avoid reporting on the protests. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's inflammatory statements have done little to calm the situation. And the use of force against protesters has resulted in deaths and injuries, further exacerbating the crisis. The demands of the protesters are clear and urgent. They call for the resignation of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, reform the Kota System, an end of corruption and nepotism, and the establishment of the free and fair elections. At the heart of their demands as a plea for basic rights and the hope for a better future. The potential outcomes of this crisis are deeply concerning. There is a real risk of civil war if the government does not heed the demands of its people. Some have proposed the formation of a national unity government as a means to restore stability and chart a path forward. As a citizen, the emotional strain of witnessing this unrest is profound. The sense of urgency and outrage at the government's action is palpable. The determination of the protesters to fight for their rights and secure a better future for Bangladesh is inspiring, even as it underscores the precariousness of the current situation. Raising global awareness of these events is crucial, as the world must understand the gravity of the situation and stands in solidarity with the people of Bangladesh during this critical time. Follow me for more updates.